Okay, this is Urban Knowledge, whether you're listening to the podcast on SoundCloud or you're watching on YouTube. Got a guest with me right now. First R&B pop artist coming out of Australia. Amazing title. Went gold in Australia back in 2002. Selwyn is in the place, man. Welcome.
Hey, what's good, man?
Man, you got the new single out right now, The Greatest Show on Earth.
Yeah.
It sounds like nothing I've heard on like radio, mainstream at the moment. I mean, there's the mustard type beats that we hear. There's like the dancehall wave that, Justin Bieber and Drake and all of them are going through.
Yeah.
What made you decide to go this route?
I guess for me, man, it's always good to kind of make your own lane.
Yeah.
And even when I first came out in 2002 with tracks like Bugging Me, tracks like, obviously, like you explained, like Way Love Supposed to Be, Rich Girl, it was always a lane that I felt like, just to, separate me from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So if everybody's on that wave, it's always good to, kind of do a track like that or get a remix to something that's what, that's the now on radio and what's popping now. But for me, I just always wanted to kind of, just do something that's so far left from everybody else that, that they take a look at that and be like, oh, wow, well, that's a different kind of sound. That's a different, while everyone's doing this, he's just doing that.
Yeah.
And I think it's always good as an artist to be different like that,
Definitely.
That's how Greatest Show on Earth came together. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to try and do that because everyone's doing that. And I've been out of the game for so long. So I'm going to, I'm going to try and just show them I can do what they're doing right now. Nah, I can. But for me, I think, sticking to your own, man, and believing in what you do you always win in the end. So
yeah, definitely, man. And explain the lyrics of the song, because it seems like it's been like it's a relationship sort of basis of a song. So just break down the lyrics for us.
Well, Greatest Show on Earth, like basically we're all part of the greatest show on earth. Like, life. That's basically meaning life and what's happening right now with all of us, with you as well, Alex. Like, with everybody going through their life, it's a show that, that people, that we all have a movie. We all we just another character. We all characters on earth, on this greatest show on earth, Yeah. It's a mad title. But I guess with my situation with The Greatest Show, me being a character, it was about it's about a female coming into your life, you know what I mean? And she, you guys have this magic connection. And then, maybe after like 2-3 weeks, a month of sweetness and like, pure love, she just disappears in thin air. Mm-hmm. So basically she leaves you, we've all had those quick romances, So basically it's just talking about a woman being a magician in a sense, and I was just a character like in on The Greatest Show on Earth, like, what I mean? That was it, because the way she came into your life, she made you fall for her. She did all these beautiful things, you fell for her, and the next minute, like pulling a rabbit out of her hat, she was gone.
Yeah.
With no explanation, you just couldn't track this girl down. Like, man, and that's happened to me many times. Definitely. And you never get to see him again. So I thought, at the end of the day, when I got together with August Rigo and Mike Snoddy, and this was over in Atlanta, we did this record, and man, it just made perfect sense. A lot of people can relate to it, and the title is strong, man. It's a strong title, and we are definitely all characters on The Greatest Show on Earth.
Yeah.
Because we're on Earth and we live in our lives. It's a show. Everyone's life is a movie, man. Mm. Even yours.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of the title, you likened it to like Mozart as far as the title. And are you a fan of like the classical era of type music?
I kind of like the older kind of music, man. To be honest, I mean, when I'm relaxing sometimes, like, I'd like to listen to some old stuff like that, some classical music. I think it helps you kind of, meditate a little bit more better because there's no lyrics involved. And it kind of helps you to write as well. You know what I mean? It helps me more so with my melodies as well, coming up with different melodies to write in songs, So I like listening to stuff like that. I'm an R&B pop kind of singer, but I listen to more hip hop as well. Mm-hmm. So I've got an array of stuff. And I see, like, the title, The Greatest Show on Earth, back to that because it's a strong title. It's something that Mozart, would do. It's that crazy. It's that big. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's got to be epic. It sounds epic, and with that type of music, classical music, it's very epic. And so is the song, The Greatest Show. So I thought it, just fit perfectly.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And with the title, the first R&B pop singer, are you surprised by that? Because you came up in an era where I feel like it was one of the golden eras of R&B party music. Are you surprised that Australia didn't jump on the wave earlier?
I mean, I love Australia, man. I think they're pretty slow in the process when it comes to like, R&B and hip hop music. I mean, when I first started out, there wasn't really much, you know what I mean, obviously, of this type of music around.
Mm-hmm.
But they were getting more into it. And now that I've been away and since I'm back, I've seen a lot more artists,
Mm-hmm.
Creating their own style and a lot more homegrown artists that are doing that sort of sound, like, the hip hop, the R&B. We've got a lot of good talent here as well. And I'm glad to just see the scene open up a bit more.
Yeah.
Because why I say I was the first, I know it's a kind of a big title. I'm not saying I'm the king. That's an even bigger title. But I'm saying the first is because when I was around doing what I was doing, there wasn't many people in the wavelength and the same kind of style that I was doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just me. You know what I'm saying? So when I looked around, it was like, wow. And all we had was overseas people to kind of look up to. Like, your cats from the UK or your cats from, the States, mind you. But for Australia, I reckon, I was the first one to pave that way, for that mid-tempo way Love's supposed to be. That's still a smashing record if you play it now, I mean, just timeless music, man. And I think Australia needed that, So I feel like I was the sort of like I played a role in building, the foundation for R&B pop music in Australia.
Yeah, definitely, man. I want to take things back to your days in South Africa. So what were your living conditions like?
Sorry?
Living conditions, what were they like?
Oh, in South Africa, South Africa is a very beautiful place, man. When I came over, I was like 16, turning 17. So, I got to grow up there, and to me, South Africa will always be my home, man. I love my adopted country, Australia. It's been my home for the longest now. Mm-hmm. And, living conditions was good because I got to grow up with all my friends, and the way we lived was sort of like, everybody knew everybody. The area I came from, like I would go outside and, I would know the neighbor. I would know the person that lived like 50 doors down the road. I would know the person that lived, up the street 10 minutes. It was like everyone knew everyone. It was kind of like a local community. And I think, that's where a lot of my inspiration was built and embedded in me. Was growing up in SA, man. I wouldn't have changed that for anything, because it made me the person I am. It made me a strong person. It made me kind of realize that you got to be appreciative, man, of every little thing, and family first and foremost. So it was very dangerous as well. A very dangerous country at the time as well. You really got to watch where you walk, where you go. But at the same time, man, amazing way of living, because everybody was carefree. We all weren't rich, but we all weren't poor, but we were happy. Mm-hmm. So the upbringing and living there, I wouldn't change it for a thing, man. I can't wait to go back. I'm actually going back soon, so I'm excited to go and reunite with my family, friends that I went to to high school with as well, and just to relax, man. The food, the beaches. Mm.
It's
life. Yeah, it's a beautiful place, man. It is.
Definitely. And who did you first listen to when you were growing up? Like, who were you inspired by?
Oh man, I was inspired by heaps of people. Like, I liked a lot of like Michael Jackson. Obviously, mm-hmm. He's my first and foremost. Back to people like my mom used to play a lot of like Lionel Richie, the Stylistics, Sam Cooke. Mm-hmm. All the old school, mine, per se, growing up, when I was like 12, 13, really getting into music was more like your Tevin Campbell, your Joe, R. Kelly is one of my favorites, Backstreet Boys. I'm a big fan of the Backstreet Boys, man.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of NSYNC. So those type of people kind of, shaped, me wanting to do music, to be honest, because the type of music they were doing was really, really catchy. It was really happy music. So for me, it was all those type of people. Tevin Campbell was a major one for me. I remember playing that every night when I went to sleep. I had a Walkman, and I would play that every night in order to fall asleep, because it was very hard for me to sleep when I was young. Definitely. So I'd fall asleep with my headphones and Tevin Campbell in the background just going and going and yeah, man. So those type of artists, shaped, me to, to be able to do what I do.
Yeah. It's interesting you mentioned Backstreet Boys and NSYNC, and then you mentioned like R. Kelly and Joe, because I feel like you're the perfect blend of, both worlds, of the pop world, like very pop world, and for the R&B world. Like it's just great to see.
Oh, definitely, man. Yeah, definitely. Music. R&B music and pop music it's kind of like it's like that. They brothers,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The pop world is more, I guess, when they say pop, it's more popular,
mm-hmm.
and it's kind of more softer. Where you get with the R&B, it's kind of more soul-y.
Mm-hmm.
It's more grimy and more dirtier. But with the Backstreet Boys, it was very clean, beautiful songs. You know what I mean? Like, so. Yeah, I'm a mix of both, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say that, and a bit of rap. I rap a bit as well, but I think I'll leave that one just for my mixtape. I guess.
Oh, definitely.
I won't share it with everyone, but yeah.
But I feel like you rapped well on Rich Girl, though.
Yeah. I wanted to take a punt at it. I always loved rap as well, and I feel like when you're a creative person, man, Alex, you want to do it all, you want to say, hey, let me give that a go. Let me see if I'm good at that. Let me try and master that. You're trying to better yourself as an artist, as a human being as well. And, there's different formats and ways that you can express yourself. And I guess with Rich Girl, with that track, I wanted to rap. I was like really keen on just trying to get my swag on.
Yeah, definitely.
It worked. I think it worked good. But maybe sooner or later I could maybe, drop a free mixtape with some Selwyn raps. And we'll see how the public like that.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
And why the move to Perth?
Well, Perth City, man. Once again, beautiful city. To be honest, it's sort of the same weather like South Africa, where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
Same sort of vegetation, same sort of climate, and my mum had family there as well. We had family that had lived here before us, prior to us coming over, and then I was an exchange student for a year when I was in primary school in Perth, and then I went back home and I told my mom, oh man, I love Australia, it's so awesome, I want to live there, and because we had family there, and I traveled and I spent that year away. My mom kind of said, okay, one day we'll move there, and that was the main reason we moved to Perth. And it was just I guess my mom, because I liked it so much, my mom just felt like it would be academically a good place for me to be.
Yeah.
Because I was just harping on Australia. You get the Nikes, you get everything so cheap. And in South Africa at the time, everything was very expensive. So I was like, wow, this is like, heaven.
Definitely.
So, yeah, man, we ended up moving to Perth. And, like I said, we had family there. But it was awesome, man. It was an awesome experience.
Mm. And what were the first couple of jobs that you had?
Well, when I first started out, I used to work for Newmart, which was what you call like Woolworths. Okay. So I used to be a checkout guy. I used to be on the trolleys.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have to go out and collect the trolleys out in the car park. I work on the checkout, which was fun, man. I guess when you're 16, 17, just to have a job is good. You need, you learn independence. You learn, not to rely on your parents so much, obviously. And you have money in your pocket so you can do what you want to do.
Yeah. But
I had the crappiest jobs, man. I even worked at Chicken Tree. I had like 2 jobs when I first started out. I remember my Friday nights I was working. While everyone was partying, I was working. Yeah. But I loved earning money and, being able to take my girlfriend out, and do things, because at the time my mom was like, the kind of parents I have, my mom was more like, you're 16 now, you're a man, you gotta earn, you can't be asking me for money. So I was like, damn, okay, shit, had to get a job, man. So those were my kind of first jobs, man. And then after that, I think a year later, I was signed to Sony Music. So it's funny how life can just, it's funny how life can just change in any given instant,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I listened to your first album, the intro track to your first album, where you're in the shopping center and you're singing and you're working, and then you have your boss saying, "Oh, why is he singing? I don't pay him to sing," and everything like that. Was that like a recurring thing when you were working?
Yeah, always. Selwyn, pick your pants up. Why are you walking like that? Selwyn, stop singing at the checkout. People come here to buy, their groceries. They don't want to hear somebody sing. But you know, at the same time, they also vouched for me. You know, I'm still in touch with my first boss. To be honest, he still writes. We still keep in contact on Facebook every now and then just to say hi, because you know, he really vouched for me, man. You know, I mean, he was really a true fan of me, because him knowing, you know, me coming to work, always singing, I started becoming popular around the area, and the locals like always would come and be like, "Where's that kid that sings?" You know, that black kid. He's got a beautiful voice. You know, tell him that. You know, and they're always like, "Oh, you sound so beautiful, like an angel." Yada yada yada. You know, and actually, one of the shoppers that was there, a lady, she had left a note for me with my manager saying that, you know, this kid should try out like a TV show that was at the time, it was called Popstars. He should enter for that. He's got a magnificent voice. So obviously I never met the lady, just got the note. And then from there, man, you know, it gave me confidence, you know, that people were actually listening to me, could hear me doing this, and, you know, be able to support me and you know, kind of give me the confidence to actually do it, you know?
Yeah. As a young age, when I guess you first started singing, were you thinking that you were going to be a big artist one day, or you just? It kind of sounds like you just went in. You were just singing at work, and then you try out for the Popstars, and it just happened for you.
Well, basically, man, I've always been singing. To be honest, I was singing in South Africa. I come from a musical family. I mean, I had an uncle who plays piano and music instruments by ear. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't really taught. You know, my grandmother used to sing in the choir. I was in the choir. You know, my mom used to play piano as well. You know, so I come from a musical family. I think it's something I've always really wanted to do. My cousins were really good at Michael Jackson. Like, they could dance, like, and imitate my cousin Lincoln. He's amazing. He was, you know, just very creative type of family. And I felt like music is something I always wanted to do. I was in a group with my mates in South Africa. We were in a group, sort of like a Boys to Men group. And, you know, we were supposed to cut a CD in Johannesburg. And at the time, we had to leave for Australia. So all those plans went to mush. But other than that, man, like, music's something I've always wanted to do. Like, I felt like it lived in me. I felt like, you know, I might not be, you know, I'm not putting myself down, or I'm not the greatest, but I felt like in my heart, I already knew who I was. Mm-hmm. Whether it be on a big scale, whether it be on a little scale, I knew who I was when I looked in the mirror. Like, hey, I like music, I sing. That's it. That's something that was naturally given to me. Mm-hmm. You know, so I felt like, hey, you know what I mean? I would always chase it, and I chased it in South Africa as well. It wasn't only in Australia. It's just that Australia gave me that chance, you know, to really, you know, do it on a major scale. Yeah, you know,
definitely. Yeah. And explain your whole Popstars experience, because I like to call Popstars, like, it was pretty much Australian Idol before Australian Idol was out. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was one of, you know, if you're looking at it from a TV show point of view, it was one of the first ones on TV, mm-hmm. you know, to kind of expose talent, you know, talented youngsters coming together, all vying for a shot at, you know, at fame and stardom, you know. And I think that was a good show when it started out, because a lot of good artists came from there. You know what I mean? We had like artists like Bardot. We had another artist like, you know what I mean, like Scandalous. You know, there was a lot of good things that came. And I guess, you know, it was the first. So, you know, the first with anything kind of takes always a lot of time. And then things always progress and kind of get, you know what I mean, more bigger. Like Idol was more about a solo artist, whereas Popstars that I entered was more about a group. You know, so I guess, you know, the TV shows got a bit more better. But yeah, man, we were like, you know, the first TV show I was on that, and, you know, and yeah, the first R&B artist. So sort of like Idol, but yeah.
Just more group based then. Yeah.
Yeah, more like trying to, you know, put a group together, but also exposing talent though. So in the same sense, yeah, sort of like Idol, but, you know, at least you got to get on TV, which is mad exposure. Yeah. And, you know, share yourself with, you know, with you know, thousands and millions of people, man, that get to see you, you know. So I think these type of shows are good in a sense, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And why did Popstars ask you from the show? Because you got to like the final stage.
Yeah, I was down to like the last like 20. Mm-hmm. I guess, you know, sometimes, you know, I wasn't meant for a group, to be honest. Yeah. Alex, I was more of a solo artist. I've been in a group before, but the type of group that they were trying to do, I guess, I just didn't fit at the time. But what had happened was one of the judges, her name was Jackie O, not Colin Jackie O, the other, another. She runs a dance studio out in Sydney, and she was one of the judges at the time, and she was the one that was like really vouching for me, and was like, after the show, she's like, listen, never mind you didn't make the group. I'm going to link you up with, with some people I know, and then, we will kind of get you a deal. And she's the reason as well why I got a record deal. So there was something better in place for me than being part of the group. And I felt like, hey, being solo is always better. You have to talk to yourself. You don't have to be in agreement with a whole group. Sometimes personalities clash, and, creativeness, I'd want to do, one thing, they would want to do another thing. So cut a long story short, I feel that it was meant to happen that way. And she, one of the judges from there, actually hooked me up with my record deal as well. So, I mean, everything works out, you know what I mean, in the end. So if you lose something, like if one door closes, another one opens. I'm a firm believer in that.
Definitely. But it was a while before you got the record deal. Like, you had to work for, I guess, what was it? 3 months or 6 months?
About 6.
6 months.
Yeah.
So you were back
about another 6 months, and obviously they were wrapping up with they were finishing up with the final contestants, and doing what they had to do, because they had contracts, I guess, as judges to finish up their job. And then once that was all done, the judge called me up and she was like, "Look, I'm going to fly you to Sydney. I have some meetings I want to, some people I want to introduce you to." And I was like, "Wow, for sure." And from there, everything just fell into place, man. She introduced me to a guy named Paul Begot. And, he's a writer, also a producer. And, we were jamming on the piano. And next minute, man, I found myself a week later in the Sony offices doing a showcase. So I still had to showcase for Sony. I still had to sing for them and stuff. I remember them, all sitting down in this office, kind of room. It's like, and everybody just kind of like, at first these people weren't feeling it, they were just sitting there, executives, and you're kind of there and you're trying to explain your music, and I'm like, yeah, so this song is this, and then the guy's like, all right, and they weren't really feeling it, so I felt like I was losing the actual, the meeting. And then a guy from New York actually walked in, and he was just assigned to Sony at the time. As a new A&R. And when he walked in, he walked straight to this little fridge, grabbed himself a bottle of water and was like, "What's going on here? Sorry, I'm late." And I was like, wow, okay, who's this dude? All right, he's like, "Oh, man." I said, "Oh, hey, my name's Selwyn, whatever. I want to play this stuff, And then he was like, "All right, don't play it, just sing." I was like, okay. So I sang live for him. He was like, "I like it. Tell me the story." I was like, "Oh, well, obviously I was on this TV show. I've got some music. I really want to, be an artist. This, that." And he was like, "Yep, done. We'll have a record deal for you in a week." I was like, "No way. The dude could have missed the whole meeting, but just in the nick of time, he came in and he kind of saved the day." So that, to me, that was like, wow, I was just being saved in every sense of the way, man. It was like my path was being written for me.
And was that Audius, the guy you're speaking
of?
No.
That was Michael Taylor.
Okay, right. Because I read somewhere that you were rediscovered at Bilo by Audius. Is that false or true?
No. I wasn't discovered by Audius. I mean, that's how me and Audius met. When I was working, he used to come to the local shopping center there and buy his stuff. And we just, I was singing one time, and then he heard me as well. And he was like, "Oh, man, good voice," gave me his card. He was like, "Give me a call sometime. I produce music." And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." So we started working that way. Yeah. And that's how we started writing music together. And so that's the time I was meeting up with Sony. I already had music done because I'd work in the studio. Yeah. You know what I mean? With Aud. So yeah, it happened for me like that, man. Like I said, I think it was meant to be. That's why the album was called Meant to Be. Yeah. It just all made sense. Even the title of that album came to me in a dream. Yeah, definitely. If I could try and reenact that, I wouldn't change a thing, really. Because I feel like if I made it, any other choice or decision, it wouldn't have happened the way it did. Yeah. Okay, so the first album comes out, blows up.
You get a lot of opportunities, and you get the opportunity to open for Destiny's Child. Tell us about that whole experience there.
Oh man, Destiny's Child was awesome. You know, I'm a big Beyonce fan, Kelly Rowland fan. You know that. Beautiful music from that group, man. Destiny's Child. That was awesome for me. I guess, you know, at the time, you know, wow. You know, having music out of my own and then being able to support like major acts like that, it was mind blowing for me, man. Because I got to meet him, you know, and wow, I was starstruck, you know, Beyonce. And but for that, I mean, I guess that was like I think the highlight for me, man, of what of everything I was doing. That was the highlight, you know. Because I had a crush on Beyonce like crazy, and I'm a big Destiny's Child fan up until today. And I think that was, you know, that was the pinnacle for me, being able to support Destiny's Child, and just being able to do an arena like that that's packed with so many people. I mean, when you perform in front of people like that, it's an amazing feeling to be up on stage, man, and you know, to be able to share music that you've done in your, you know, with like 10,000, 20,000 people. Wow. That was the best. Yeah. Trust me. Yeah.
And you got a picture with them as well. Did you end up having a conversation with any of them?
Yeah, I spoke to Beyonce, man. You know what I mean? I was with my girl at the time, and my girlfriend was a big fan. So I got her backstage, and they were also chatting. And she was saying to my girl she loved her earrings. I remember she was sweating at the time as well. And when I took a photo with her, you know, my hand got wet from her sweat on her back, like down her lower back. You know?
Wait, Beyonce was sweating, or your girlfriend was?
Beyonce.
Oh, Beyonce, right.
Yeah, and then for me, it was like I didn't want to wash my hand. I was just like, oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, I was just like really shy at the time. And then, you know, I remember she said to Kelly, oh, he's cute. You know?
Shit.
I was like, what? Did she? Because I was young, man. I was fresh, you know? And now when I look at Jay-Z, I'm kind of like, I can see the resemblance. So I was like, all right. So she must have meant what she said, you know, because I look like a young Jay-Z.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So, I mean, that was the highlight for me, man. Beyonce, you know, wow. Just thinking about it now.
Yeah. And that was kind of like around the time, because that was 2002, right?
Yeah, that was about, going into 2002, yeah.
I think that was when Beyonce and Jay went public.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so. Because they had the Bonnie and Clyde, but they still weren't, you know, out and everything like that. But they eventually came out, and then they had the Crazy in Love next year, and then I think they came out then.
Yeah, and then it was just fire from then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, amazing power couple, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's, amazing.
The best in the industry, I think.
In the industry, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So Rumba Tour. Hope I said that correctly, but you opened up for Shaggy, Pink, and Sugar Babes, right?
Yeah, yep.
Tell us about the whole experience.
That was good, man. I mean, because, you know, that was Australia-wide. So, you know, we went to all the states in Australia. That was awesome, man. Same thing. A lot of people. I mean, a lot of people, which is always good to do those type of things like that, man. It's, you know, it's overwhelming because at the time, you know, I was still like, you know, getting used to everything. But then meeting all these stars like Pink as well, Shaggy, Toya. I mean, you know, for me, it was like, wow, man, you know, just last year I was doing this and now I'm doing this. I'm shaking hands with these, you know what I mean, these type of artists, and I'm getting a chance to do my thing as well. It was just overwhelming, man. But I love that experience because, you know, you kind of get to meet the other artists. You get to hang out with them for a bit, chat with them. I mean, I was in the Sugar Babes trailer talking to them. You know what I mean? They were telling me, the other two girls were telling me how the other one, you know, sort of was like, you know, crushing on me. And I was like, you know, I was very shy at the time, man. So I didn't believe anything. I was just so focused on doing music that I was like, you know, whatever. But got to chat with them, man. And just, you know, just the experience at the time for me, I was young. I was like 19. So the best feeling, man. Those were the highlights, man. Being able to tour, wake up, hotels, you know what I mean? The best feeling.
Yeah.
The best feeling. You know, you're working for yourself, really.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And you get to meet other creative people and women, and, you know, you're young. At that age, the best thing to do, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing to have you know, a bunch of fans flocking towards you and, you know, grabbing all over you, trying to get your number, getting your attention and everything. But did one of the Sugar Babes try and, you know, get your attention and everything and try and make something happen with you there?
Oh yeah, no, I think it was you know, through the other girls and stuff like that. When we were chatting, one of the girls was like, yeah, going into the trailer, you know, she wants to talk to you, and that was the dark one at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, cool. So I went in there and I was talking to her, and you know, they were saying that she liked me and stuff like that, you know. And I was just chatting to her, man, and you know, yeah, we were vibing. We were vibing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so all the success from the first album, you make your second album. Why do you think people weren't as receptive to the second album as they were to the first album?
I guess, you know, sometimes it's the timing.
Right.
And I think, you know, I had a lot of good music that I wanted to put out. And I was, you know, kind of going through like, how can I say, a transition. You know, I wanted to do kind of like more, I wanted to direct more of the direction, like of the type of music I wanted to do. And I guess, you know, my team around me at the time, they weren't really feeling my direction. Mm-hmm. You know, so that's why the album took so long to come out. And I feel like they never, you know, really receptive to it because at that time, you know, sometimes when something's hot, man, you got to strike while it's hot, you know. You got to come back with the next big thing, bang,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to drop it on them. And while they're still feeding on it, then they got to be like, oh, wow, it's another one from him. Oh, wow, you know. But I think, you know, having that, it was like, I think a year and a half between, maybe 2 years, that I had come out with something new. So when we came out with Booming, I don't feel like, you know, it hit as hard. I wasn't really feeling that single at the time. I don't know if you've heard that one. Have you heard
I've heard that one. I haven't heard the second album, but I've heard that single. I heard all the first album, though. Yeah.
The second album, there was some sleepers on there, man. I mean, not sleepers, but people were sleeping on right. that one. But that second album was really, really awesome, man. And, like, how can I say? People were really, like, you know, were waiting for it, but I guess it was the timing with that, to be honest. It was mainly the timing and the direction of the music. I think that, you know, the first single, like Booming, I wasn't really happy with that, you know. I don't think that was my the best single I had. I felt like I wanted to go a different direction, and sometimes when you're with a major label, you know, they do know better, you know, but at that point in time, they didn't, you know, and that was the wrong single for me. And that can also sabotage a lot of stuff, you know. And then from there, it was just kind of like, well, you know, that's where, you know, me and the label, we kind of like, you know, we were kind of like in a ray where, you know, it's like, well, which direction are you trying to go? I'm trying to go this way. You know, they're trying to go another way. And I felt like, you know, I wasn't being allowed to be myself, you know, in a sense. So I just wanted out. I wanted out.
Yeah, so creative differences obviously were a factor there. What direction did Sony want you to take with your music?
Well, I guess, you know, at the time they wanted to choose the stuff. They were a good label, don't get me wrong. They were a really good label. I guess at that time I was young and I felt like I was out there, you know, in the streets. Well, not the streets, like streets, but I was out there, you know, I was out in the clubs. I was out, you know, at places. You know, I was young. I felt like, you know, I knew what I wanted to sound like, the direction I wanted to go. And I guess, you know, they wanted it to be a more cleaner direction. They wanted it to be more like, you know, I guess they wanted to follow radio, you know, protocol. And I wanted to do more club stuff, I guess, you know, when you're that young. So when I look at it now, I feel like, you know, labels do know what they're doing when it comes to, you know, picking the right songs for radio and that. And, you know, when you're young, sometimes you can't be as adamant as I was. You got to listen and you got to, you know, make it work. So I guess, you know, I shouldn't have been trying to push one direction. And then, you know, at the end, it just left us all at a point where it's like, oh, well, you know, I don't want to do this. And then, okay, well, we're not going to do that. Well, then, you know, we'll just leave it.
Yeah. Well, I can understand how you feel because, I mean, for you as an artist, I'm sure you don't want to be filtered. I'm sure you want to be able to do whatever you want with your music and you don't want other people telling you, hey, you shouldn't do that. I recommend you don't do that. You want to be able to do what you want, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's part of being yourself and being creative. And, you know, sometimes, you know, it's good because I think people buy that.
Yeah.
When people see that, you know, and then it's a part of you, you know, they buy that, and it's believable. You know, sometimes, you know, you can do a song that you know, that you're just not feeling it, you know, and it's just, you know, it's not the direction you're trying to go in. And I believe you got to, you know, fight for what you believe in life, because you only have one life to live, you know. So the decisions have to be based on how you really feel, you know, whether it hurts you or it makes it better, you know. As long as you're happy with the decision you made, you're good to go, you know.
Yeah. And after the fallout with Sony, why did you take a break from music?
I just felt like I got to a point where, you know, I just felt like, you know, wow, you know, I came to Australia when I was 16, you know, 17, like just turning 17. I was like, I got a record deal. I've only lived in Australia as a teenager for a year and a bit. I wasn't really, you know what I mean, used to living in my new adopted country. So you must know, I just came to Australia, bam, I got a record deal a year later. Time was just moving quick for me. Everything was just there. It was just happening so quickly. So I felt like, you know what, I'm going to take some time to live. You know what I mean? To fall in love, to, you know what I mean, just to live with my mates, to do more things, you know, to chill. And you know, and then be creative and then see what happens, you know, down the line. So I went on holiday, man. I went to America. I spent some time there. I went back home to South Africa. I just did a lot of, like, you know, getting to know me. You know what I mean? Because of the last 2-3 years were kind of like a rush for me. So I also just wanted to live in Australia and just be like, you know, get used to you know, my new country, man. Yeah. You know, instead of being, you know, kind of like here, there, and everywhere, I felt like, okay, back to the drawing board. Let me see what else I can come up with, but let me travel and harness, you know, my skills and my craft, and just do more music.
Yeah, definitely. And
do me.
Yeah.
Do more me, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And did you do any sort of like acting roles as well?
Yeah, man, I did some I did a movie called Think. Awesome movie, director Tim Boyle. You know, I did it with Steve Bastoni, people like Sam Worthington. You know, it was a good experience for me, man. I have no acting skills whatsoever, but the director really liked my, you know, my kind of ambitious attitude.
Yeah.
And the role that I played a computer hacker, and it was awesome fun, man. You know, acting is something I really love, actually. It's pretty cool, you know, and that was good fun. And I did another short film in America, which was called Spy by Night. That was good as well.
Yeah.
Played another computer hacker, you know. But yeah, man. So I did some movies. I'm actually going to be shooting another movie soon for another guy, another director, and I play a rapper. So, and it's an Aussie comedy as well. So we start shooting on the 10th of October. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, man, as well. So I got that coming up as well. So yeah.
Sure. And when did you move to Sydney?
I think I moved to Sydney as soon as everything started taking off, man, with the first release, which was Bugging Me.
Oh, right. So this wasn't after the success. This was during.
Yeah. So, you know, I was still in Perth, and obviously, you know, Bugging Me was taking off. So it was like, oh, you know, my management were like, oh, well, you know, everything happens in Sydney, but, you know, because Perth is so far away from everything, you know. So it's like, you know, if we stay in Sydney, it's closer to, you know, to Melbourne, it's closer to the other states. And if we have to come down to Perth, we'll just do that once in a blue. So I was like, okay. And Sydney was good, man. I liked it. It's a big city. And I've never left ever since. I haven't been back. I still have family in Perth. I always go back and visit, but I love Sydney. I just love the whole hustle and bustle, you know, the big city. I just loved it. Yeah. So ever since I came, which was in 2002, yeah, I've never left.
Yeah. And did you work at any other sort of jobs when you stopped making music?
Well, man, after a while, like after about 4 years, you know what I mean? Obviously, you know, you start running out of, like, you know what I mean? You know, options and loots, you know. I did have a couple of jobs here and there, man, you know, that I did like. I was working mainly for family, like family friends as well. So just to kind of keep me, you know, my mind going. So, you know, because, you know, you don't want to kind of sit at home doing nothing, you know. Yeah. So I did, you know, had a couple of jobs, but, you know, Man, I'd rather be doing music.
Of course.
I'd rather be doing music, you're working for other people on their times and their terms. Nah, I'd rather just be creative. I'm a creative person, so for me to be, set up on something like on a 9 to 5, that's not my skis, man.
Right. So I know, in like 2010 and afterwards, you continued to do shows, but were you recording music at the time?
Yeah, I've always been recording music, Alex. Okay. I've always been recording music, man. I mean, that's something I do even now, like every 2-3 days.
Yeah.
I have to. Even if it's an idea I put down, mm-hmm. I have to. I feel like it's part of me. It's sort of like a stress relief, being able to, just express my feelings through my emotion, sing, write, bam. Even if I do tracks, like I got heaps of records, man. I have lots of songs. And that's why, I feel like now I just want to share them with everybody,
Yeah.
That's why I'm dropping the greatest show. That's why I feel like it's my time now again. Sometimes you can take that time and just reevaluate what you want to do. And now I felt like, wow, dude, I've missed it so much. I've missed, being able to, because you can sing for yourself and your mates, man, and your close friends. They always love your stuff. Sometimes you want to just put it out there. If they love it so much, I'm sure everybody else will. So now I felt like, you know what, hey man, let's just do this again. Let's go back out there. Let's just drop hot records, man, and show cats that this is something that I was always doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean a label can kind of determine whether you're, you know what I mean, because you're, you know what I'm saying, on TV or something that that you're legit enough. Nah, this is Selwyn. Selwyn's always been Selwyn before Sony, before, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Look, it's been I can't really name an artist that's had a big hiatus of years without putting out music and then coming back and being very successful. I just hope that people fuck with your music, man, because I enjoy your new single, and but the advantage that you have is like you're bringing music to a whole new generation who don't even know Selwyn. So
exactly.
You're pretty, as Ronnie O said, like you're in like a new school, old school artist, I guess.
Yeah, because I'm still fresh, man. When you're creative and you can still put out something hot, that's always a good thing. It's like Converse, Converse Chuck Taylors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They'll never go out of fashion. You could wear them I'll wear them till I'm 60.
Yeah.
I'll still make them look fresh. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then these Yeezys and all these, after a while they'll be like, oh, what the hell is that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But something like a Converse will always be around, man. And like me, I feel like, sometimes you gotta go and take some time off, learn, live life, you know what I mean? Actually, mature and then come back, And I agree with you, man. They need to fuck with this shit because this shit is hot.
Yeah. Yeah.
This
absolutely.
shit it's really flexing. And the quality, the production quality, Selwyn's still got his vocal ability. Goddamn, boy.
Yeah. You haven't lost it.
Let's get him.
Yeah. And you worked in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I was in Atlanta, yeah.
You worked with producers and artists. Was one of those artists Sean Hendricks?
Yeah. I didn't really work with Sean. We were working with the same sort of people.
Right.
Yeah, he was doing his thing. We kind of had the same sort of, people kind of looking out for us,
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a family thing. But, Sean is a really talented kid as well. And he's got some big things coming. But, yeah, man, we ran for sort of like the same kind of camp. But, I was doing my thing,
Yeah, for sure.
And he was doing his. But we were always in the same studios, passing each other. Yeah, he's a good kid.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. So, look, Doncaster has a special place in my heart, and you performed there in 2011 with Eve. How was that?
That was good.
Yeah. Talk to us about that experience. Yeah.
Oh man, she smelled like Skittles. She smelled amazing.
Really good.
She was really cool as well. I love it when big artists like that have had major hits, still they're still down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
When you meet them, they're very, very kind of like friendly and stuff. And she was really cool, man. She just smelled really nice. I remember that. I was like, wow, like sweets.
Yeah.
Damn. But that was cool, man. I love Melbourne. I've done a lot of shows in Melbourne, and the reception in Melbourne is always well. It's a very urban kind of city, and people love music there, man. They really do. I had a guy yesterday actually tell me like, oh, you know what? You remind me. You look like you're from Melbourne. You remind me, the way you dress. I'm like, nah, man. I don't know what you're saying though. What are you trying to say? It's because I'm black? Nah, because there's a lot of urban kind of vibe in Melbourne, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that city, bro. So shout out to Doncaster.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And I guess what is your plan to maintain your relevance in the music industry? Because, when you came out, it wasn't much of a need for you to drop singles, drop mixtapes, drop albums within a short amount of time, because people's attention spans now are just so small, and we want that new music. I feel like that's why Chris Brown is always dropping new music, to remind people that, he's one of the greatest doing it right now. So what's your plan for that?
Well, man, like I said, I got The Greatest Show, which I released last Monday, and that seems to be going well, man. Get that out to some clubs, get it onto some more radio, with people like you help pushing it as well. You know what I mean? I'm sure you got the original. If you're posting this, post the original link as well. Let people know where they can get it. I've got another second single coming out. Like I said, we're already working on that. And I guess, I did come out in an era where social media wasn't really as big as it is. I mean, there wasn't really like Facebook and stuff like that.
No, there wasn't Facebook. There wasn't YouTube. There wasn't Twitter at all.
Yeah, there was nothing like that. So I guess it's a new era, and I'm down for that era. I love the change because nowadays you can reach so many more people just independently, really. And if you have good product, you can talk to many people around the world. So for me, man, like you just said, like how Breezy's doing it. Just keep the records hot, keep good music coming. We're gonna be doing a video for Greatest Show, which is going to be epic, so people get to see a visual as well. And yeah, man, just keep it coming. I think I'm going to be really busy from now until December, and then with the new single coming out, and then next year with the movie coming out, and then I'm going to be going overseas and touring. I'll be able to put out like a little DVD for people to see. Just give them like little like vlogs about where I'm going. Where I grew up. Going back home, I'm showing. I want people to get to know the real Selwyn now, because when I came out, they never really got to know me.
Yeah.
So now they can kind of get to see a day in the life for Sel.
Definitely, man.
So I gotta keep on it, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Once you throw it out there, you gotta keep it moving.
For sure. And look, you mentioned your love for Converse earlier in the conversation. I noticed you've got the Yeezys top on. So have you copped any Yeezys?
Hey, man, I'm always late for those, man. Every time I try, and my cousin and them, they always seem to get them, but every time I try, nah. And the good thing is, like, I don't really think they would suit my foot.
Right.
Yeah, I'm kind of like into like more Puma. I like a lot of sneakers. I'm a sneakerhead as well. But yeah, I don't have a pair of Yeezys, man. And to be honest, I don't want to be part of the Yeezy army. I might have a Yeezys top on. Yeah, cool. But, for the sneaker, I don't think it would suit me. Yeah, I like the Jordans, I'm a Jordan man, to be honest.
Favorite Jordans?
Yeah, Jordan 1s. I love Jordans, man. I'm a Jordan. I'm a Nike.
Man, I'm Nike too, man.
Nike, man, yeah. I'm not so much in Adidas.
Yeah, my favorites these days are the Rocher runs. They're so simple, they're cheap. I can wear them with pretty much anything. And
they're comfy, yeah, they're comfy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I like those as well. I'm more Jordan 1s, man. I like the slickness of it. I don't like something too chunky.
Yeah.
And with all the Yeezys, all the fake ones that have come out as well, it's like you don't know, even if you're wearing a real one, people won't even sometimes believe it. It's kind of like it's just become too, I don't know. I'm just not feeling them, to be honest.
Well, look, there's a dangerous aspect of wearing Yeezys as well, because if you walk out onto the street and people are sneakerheads, they know if they're looking at the sneaker and they know it's the legit one, they know that that's going to be worth, man, I don't even know the figures, like thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
man.
Thousands of dollars coming from other resellers. But, I mean, when you buy a pair, they're only worth $220.
Yeah, I thought that would have been more, though.
Nah, they're pretty cheap, man. They're less than $300.
Right.
If you're first in line to get them, yeah, you can pick them up for like $220. Yeah. That's the retail price. But then they only make a limited amount of pairs, and then every Tom, Dick, and Harry fucking buys them and then sells them for like $2-3 grand.
Yeah.
Which I would never pay for a pair of shoes, man. I wouldn't.
It's a hustle, though.
I keep it clean, man. I keep it clean with some Chucks. Chuck Taylors, man, you're in the game. You can never go wrong with a pair of Chucks.
Absolutely, man.
I'm
Yeah,
old school, man. I'm old school.
yeah. And are you a fan of muscle cars?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I saw a picture that you were riding in the Dodge Challenger, the SRT.
Yeah, I like muscle cars. I guess Mustangs and shit like that. I like stuff with a bit of grunt.
Yeah.
With a bit of muscle. Then obviously then the Japanese cars.
Hmm.
Then like the turbos and yeah. I mean something with Hemi in it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
man.
super Dodge state troopers. You know what the state troopers drive overseas. The Saline Mustang.
Yeah,
That's one of my favorites.
for sure, man. And
Yeah.
look, this is the obvious question to ask now, but like, what's the new direction for your music? You've already mentioned that you've got a second single coming out soon, and you've got the video, but a little bit more into the future. What can we expect from Selwyn?
Man, you can expect like some really good music, man. Selwyn just being a bit more out there, kind of like, I want to prepare a tour, I want to kind of, travel a lot now, start doing live shows, you know what I mean? Just getting my music out to people, man, and letting people know that, hey, never give up on who you are, in life, and always do what you want to do.
Yeah,
So, just excited about, the greatest show on earth, and then more to come. Like I told you so. I got records like that. Telling the people that those that didn't believe in me, I told you so. I got really big songs, man, and people should just stay tuned and trust me, man. Oh, they ain't even ready.
yeah,
Trust me, they ain't even ready, man. All these years, man, I got material. People want to know, so I'm about to get in that.
yeah,
And the fans, fans that stuck with me, people that love me from like back in the day. Oh man, I got something for them.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Well, look, I appreciate you joining me here on Urban Knowledge, man, and yeah, I'm looking forward to more music from you,
Yep.
and yeah, to everyone listening, you got to cop that Greatest Show on Earth. At least give it a listen, because
Yeah.
this is amazing to me, anyway.
Nah, I mean to a lot of people, man, and it's available on iTunes. It's only $1, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm sure $1. You can't even buy a Redskin these days for $1. So it's really easy accessible, man. Get the record; it's awesome. You know what I mean? We've all been through the Greatest Show on Earth. We all are in the Greatest Show on Earth. And more from your boy Selwyn, man. Keep an eye out. 2017, 2016 is going down.
Yeah, for sure.
And so on Amazon, you could cop that. You know what I mean? I'm sure my boy Alex will send a link. I'll send him a link. Keep it locked, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining me here, man.
Bro, you be easy, huh?
Yeah,
All
for
right.
sure, man.
Okay, man.